I'm telling Babylon. I'm telling Babylon. I'm telling Babylon. You let everybody get a turn. When the angels come, I'ma scream, let her burn. You let everybody get a ride. Did you really think God was gonna let it slide? You let everybody get a turn. When the angels come, I'ma scream, let her burn. You let everybody get a ride. Did you really think God was gonna let it slide? Her name is Babylon, I call her Babs for short. She has a lot of lovers, she lets them pass her port. She has a love affair with every foreign nation. She has a favorite wine, its name is fornication. She has a purple robe, she has... Right now, somebody is hating on you. And you and me. This is what we gonna tell them. I'm in a whole different stratosphere. Vision is sharp and my path is clear. On my purpose plus I'm eloquent. Your opinion of me is irrelevant. I'm in a whole different stratosphere. Vision is sharp and the path is clear. On my purpose plus I'm eloquent. Your opinion of me is irrelevant. Does it matter what they say about me? Cause I know God don't play about me. Rumors don't matter if they aren't true. The reason they mad is cause they aren't you. They aren't blessed, they aren't highly favored. They're just jealous that somebody made it. Words may hurt, but it didn't kill. And you can't break what you didn't build. Use these words as an affirmation. Don't let them distract you from your aspiration. Let the hatred feed your inner beast, but always keep God as your centerpiece.
What that mean?
You gotta be in B with it.
Always.
Don't stand for nothing, then you need to sit and watch the real soldiers take a risk. If you relate to this, then homie, make a fist. I'm in a whole different stratosphere. Vision is sharp and my path is clear. On my purpose plus I'm eloquent. Your opinion of me is irrelevant. I'm in a whole different stratosphere. Vision is sharp and the path is clear. On my purpose plus I'm eloquent. Your opinion of me is irrelevant.
And I beheld heaven open, and behold the white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he's a judge and makes war. We are at
so
war.
You better lace your straps up.
Physical and spiritual.
We're at war. So you better lace your straps up.
Man the hell up this room.
This is war.
We are at war.
So you better lace your straps up.
Physical and spiritual.
We're at war. So you better lace your straps
Man the hell
up.
up this room. Big tanks, warships, and planted hands with small chips. North Korea, Russian spies, war is at our doorsteps. History doesn't lie, they beat the slaves with horse whips. So I think it's only right we pay them back with small tips. End of time, spoken of, it's gonna get a little warm. Daniel 7 started 8, judgment of the little horn that beat us down, held us back, called us by obscenities. Prepare us a table in the presence of our enemies and pay them back. Worse than that, they argue that the earth is flat. Our babies dying, mothers crying, cities full of murdered blacks. Hispanics too, they hate you too. Edomites are not your friend. Harmless smile behind the scenes. They tracking you through iPhone 10 technologies, through policy. We served them since the colonies. This ain't our rest, my mind is right. This place is hell, I'm not at ease. I swore an oath with every breath. I promise to defend the law. Sword is sharpened, armored up. I'm calling for the men of
This is
war.
war.
We are at
So
war.
you better lace your straps up.
Physical and spiritual.
We're at war. So you better lace your straps up.
Man the hell up this room.
This is war.
We are at war.
So you better lace your straps up.
Physical and spiritual.
We're at war. So you better lace your straps
Man the hell
up.
up this room.
Hey! That's what I do. How you get out of that stuff you be in? I know how to pray.
Shalom, shalom, everybody. What's going on? What's going on? Shabbat shalom to everybody listening. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I pray that everybody's doing well. Now, bear with me 1 second. I have to get our folks on Clubhouse situated over here, guys. So just bear with me 1 second. Give all praise, honor, glory to the Most High God, Yahweh. And we do so, of course, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus Christ. It's your brother, Priest Daniel, representing Lines of Israel, Maccabees TV. I want to give a shout out to everybody that's watching us on all our YouTube platforms, Maccabees TV, as well as the Lines of Israel class. Guys, make sure that you guys hit the like button, drop a comment, share the video, so forth and so on. All right. I also want to give a shout out to my brother Nasai from Nasai TV, as always, for allowing us to broadcast on his platform every week, broadcasting directly into people's homes. So we give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High for that. And last but not least, of course, as always, I want to shout out the people on Clubhouse. Guys, the link for the Clubhouse is at the top of the room. If you want to come over to YouTube, so you guys can actually watch the video. Today's video, on a scale of 1 to 10, in terms of watchability, whether you can just listen or if you would gain more by actually watching, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10. Today's video is probably a 30 in terms of needing to watch. I'm going to be playing a lot of videos today. Just playing a whole bunch of videos today. So definitely it's more of a watch lesson than a listen lesson. But again, if you're on Clubhouse and you are indisposed and you only can listen, that's fine as well. All right. So without further ado, before I get started, I'll open the floor if Elder Zahab wants to say any words before we get started.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Can you hear me, priest?
Yes, I hear you. I hear you. Good. Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to test the audio. I don't really have anything. I just want to say Shalom to the family, right? All praise to the Most High. We here one more week, right? Most High gave us life for this Sabbath. So I'm glad everybody's tuned in. That's it, man. Let's get into it.
Okay. All praises, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen and we'll get started with today's lesson. All right, guys. So today's lesson is a continuation of a series that I started a while back. So the Spirit was on me this week to continue in this lesson. You know, what I usually do is I sit back and I watch a lot of videos on social media and I kind of compile certain videos together, a good amount of them. And then I try to bring you, brothers and sisters, current events, or basically remind you of certain things that have happened in the recent past. So today's lesson is part 3 of a series I have called While You Are Being Distracted. In other words, don't be distracted by what's going on, because everything that you're being fed, everything that's being promoted by the media, good, bad, or in between, is a distraction from what's really, really going on. And the main puppet master behind these distractions is these guys that you see right here. You know, the people that wear the small hats. It looks like one half of a bra cup, right? Half the set on top of their head, talking about they're the chosen people, them. They're behind a lot of the distractions that go on the earth, as we're going to see. And these distractions go on to keep people distracted from other things. This is not anything that is new. When you go back in ancient times, the Romans also gave you distractions. What did the distractions do? The distractions would cut down from a lot of the riots that would happen in ancient Rome. So they give you distractions, like you'd be able to go to the Colosseum and watch gladiator fights and equestrian horse racing and all different types of things. These things were a distraction to keep people's eyes off of what was really happening, right? Same thing today. Those that don't know history are bound to repeat it. Let's begin in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, starting from verse number 1. It says, "Arise and shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee." Verse number 2, "For behold, darkness shall cover the earth." And that's the time period that we're living in right now. We're living in a world that is dark, right? Real quick, the Spirit just hit me to show you guys something, and many of you guys already know this. Let's come here and let's go to the Google Images, and we're going to type in the owl on the dollar bill. I'm pretty sure most of you guys know there's an owl on the dollar bill. Hopefully you guys know that. If you didn't know that, that's okay. You learned something new today. So let's see. I want to find probably the best image that shows it, because some of these images are not good. It looks like it's this one right here. All right, let's try to blow that up a little bit more if we could. Right. So this is your dollar bill, guys. Right. And you guys can put this theory to the test on any dollar bill that you have in your possession. In the dollar bill, in the upper right-hand corner, right here, that little guy right there, that's an owl. An owl is known for many things. But one of the things that an owl is known for is owls have very, very good eyesight in the dark. They can see in the dark very, very well. They have some type of oil or something that's in their eyes that the Most High, when he created them, that makes it easy for them to see in the dark, whereas we as human beings, we can't see in the dark. The symbol of the owl also goes back to Molech as well. Right? So, why would the United States put an owl on their dollar bill? And why would they hide it in plain sight? Well, we're not going to really be talking about that today. But just understand, an owl sees well in the dark. Translation, the earth is in darkness right now. Not physical darkness. Let's come back to the PowerPoint. It's not speaking about darkness as in physically dark, because right now, for the most of us that's in the United States of America, it's daytime and it's light outside. So it's not a physical darkness. The darkness that covers the earth is lies. Everything that we see around us, much of what we were taught, is lies. And gross darkness, gross darkness means complete darkness. The average man and woman on this earth, regardless of race, quote unquote, or nationality, is in darkness. Let's be real. The so-called white man likes to call blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. They like to say that they're, for the most part, they're smarter than us, that we're stupid. But the average white man, woman, and child is just as stupid as anybody else on this earth, because their leaders have taught them lies, just like their leaders taught us lies. The same lies that we were taught, they were taught. So it says, in gross darkness the people, but the Lord shall rise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. The Most High is rising upon us, and his glory is being seen upon us in terms of this truth. Because when we have this truth, matter of fact, real quick, watch this. The Spirit is just hitting me with certain scriptures. Watch this. Let's open up another. My computer's acting up again, but that's okay. So the Bible teaches us in Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 1. Let's look at it real quick. It says, who is as the wise man, and who knoweth the interpretation of a thing? It says, a man's wisdom makes his face to shine, and the boldness of his face shall be changed. A man's wisdom makes a man's face to shine. Now we're going to take that and we're going to come back and look at Isaiah chapter 60 again. It says, but the Lord shall arise upon thee. The Most High has endowed us with his wisdom, with his truth in this world where everybody else, all the other people, are in gross darkness. And the Most High's glory shall be seen upon thee, meaning the glory of the Most High is seen upon us in terms of we stand out and we shine when it comes to this truth. And the world knows it. That's why they hate us. We're able to see in a dark place like the owl is, because the Most High has caused us to shine in this very, very dark world, and where all the other people are in gross darkness. So all praises to the Most High for that. Let's look at Ephesians chapter 6, verses 12 and 13. It says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. The people that control this world, the same way the Most High has caused his light to shine upon us, the people that rule this world, they also are controlled as well. But they're controlled from, quote unquote, the dark side, from Satan. Satan is the one that controls this world. I think I showed you guys, and maybe some of you guys remember, maybe some of you guys don't. I remember showing you guys a video, or maybe it was in the academy, I don't remember, where Steve Jobs was Steve Jobs, the guy that gives you guys Apple. You know, some of our brothers and sisters, you guys are like, if somebody has an iPhone, you practically treat them like they're from a third world country. If somebody has an Android, you guys that have iPhones, if somebody has an Android, you practically treat them like they're from a third world country. You practically treat them like they're a leper because you love that damn iPhone, right? Huh?
Well, hey, Slakia priest, it's almost like, you know, back in the times of slavery, slaves would go around and say, yo, your master's poor or blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
we are richer, we are better than you, and we'll crack on you, but you all slaves at the end of the day. So you kind of superimpose that to now, we all slaves to the system. So if you got iPhone, Android, what difference does it make? Right? You're still a slave to the information. You're still a slave to the system.
But I see that. I know it being just in Israel, but that does happen. But in all seriousness, no. Steve Jobs was a crackhead. That's what he was. He was a drug addict. A lot of y'all don't know that. And what happened was he moved from America to India and went into one of those damn temples. And I'm gonna call it what it is, prayed to the devil, and came back to America a genius and started Apple. Now, what happened in that temple, who he was talking to, what spirits he was working with, I don't know. But the dude was a crackhead before he went. I got to do that lesson again soon, because somebody's like, no, I never heard that before. Yeah, it's true.
Also with the logo, whenever you get into that.
Yeah, that's right. You know what I'm saying? So these devils are working with Satan, right? So all the technology that they bring forth comes from Satan, whether you believe it, accept it or not. Everything they do, from their media to their social media to the apps, all dealing with the devil. And in that same presentation, I also showed you that Mark Zuckerberg told a story how Steve Jobs sent him to literally the same temple, to talk to the same person that taught him. And Mark Zuckerberg, you know, the guy that gives you Meta, you love your Facebook, you love your Instagram, you love your Bluetooth glasses that he has now and all this other technology he has out. Well, Mark Zuckerberg went and prayed to the devil too. It's a fact. This thing is way deeper than just flesh and blood. The same way that we're being controlled through the Spirit of the Most High Spirit guides us and leads us to do the things that we do. It is not of ourselves. I don't think any of us, when we were children, woke up and said to ourselves as children, hey, when I grow up, I want to teach the Bible and everybody to hate me. I don't think anybody aspired to that. But here we are. Well, it's the same thing with them. They're also being controlled. The rulers of the darkness of this world, we see them manifest in the physical, but just understand their inspiration is coming from higher, just as our inspiration is coming from higher. We have to understand that. Verse 13, wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, which is the Bible, the law, statutes, and commandments, the whole thing, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day. It's the only thing, it's the only weapon we have to be able to withstand in this evil day. It's all we have to defend ourselves. When people come at us with whatever they come at us with, our weapon to fight it off is the scriptures. So we have to become expert, quote unquote, swordsmen in the scriptures to be able to stand, to be able to withstand in this evil day. And having done all to stand, let's move on. Now, I need for you brothers and sisters to take heed. Let's read a scripture first. I'm gonna ruffle some feathers with this one, but that's okay. It says, and take heed to yourselves. This is Luke 21, verse 34. It says, and take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts, meaning your minds, be overcharged with surfeiting. Surfeiting is not a regular Negro word, so we're going to look it up. Surfeiting, surfeiting. Let's look it up. I should have did this before the class started, but certain things is just hitting me now. It means in excess, right? An excess amount of something. That's what it means. Surfeiting is an excess amount of something. That's not a word that we use every day in the community, so we went to look it up. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your minds be overcharged with something in excess. That's what surfeiting means. And drunkenness, and cares of this world, and so that day come upon you unawares. And that's the part I want to talk about right here. The cares of this world. While there are real world things going on all over the world, the number one thing that's being spoken about in the media, you see it on ABC News, NBC News, CBS, CNN, Fox. You've seen it spoken about on ESPN, Fox Sports, all over TikTok. You name it, there's a war going on about the Super Bowl halftime show. Was it good or was it bad? And you have this record that came out, which is really in essence a diss record from one Israelite man to another Israelite man, whether they acknowledge they're Israelites or not. Now, we know in the past, Kendrick acknowledged he was an Israelite. Whether he still does is up in the air, right? But they're both Israelites, him and Drake. And the number one argument, the number one song, you get a Grammy for the song, all this stuff, is a song that's insulting one Israelite to another. That wins a Grammy. I need for you brothers and sisters to understand something. We all like a good rap beef, right? As long as it doesn't get physical. I could appreciate a good diss record. I think some of the greatest hip hop songs to ever be written was diss records. I'll be the first to tell you that. Right? But it's never been on display the way it is now. Never. If you guys think that that's organic to the point where it's all everybody's talking about, if you think that's organic, meaning it's happening on its own naturally, you're highly mistaken. Highly mistaken. Listen to what the brother says. And I agree with a lot of what he says. Maybe not 100%, but I agree with a lot of what he's saying. Because that stuff is a distraction. Let's go.
I'm going to keep this short and to the point. This whole scripted Drake and Kendrick beef is just that. It is scripted. All these diss tracks or distractions going on, distracting you for what's going on.
You heard that? Diss track, aka distraction. I like that. I call it bar. Those are bars right there. Come on with it.
Or distractions going on, distracting you for what's going on in the world, what's going on in Israel, what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, what's going on in our own country, all these protests in these colleges.
Yeah. Ukraine is not the number one topic anymore. What's going on in Israel with the Gaza Strip is not the one topic anymore. What's going on here in America with all the protests that are happening? What just happened in Lincoln Heights in Ohio, where the Klan marched recently, or the neo-Nazis, I should say, marched recently, and black people confronted them. None of that stuff is the number one thing that's being talked about is Kendrick and Drake. Y'all think that's organic? Maybe some of you guys do. I don't think so.
All this corruptness in the government, all they want you to do is focus on these two human beings.
They laid off 200,000 federal workers last week. I don't have statistics right now in front of me to tell you guys what the percentages is, but if I were a wagering man, of those 200,000 people that were laid off, most of them is our people. Most of them is our people that lost jobs. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Drake and Kendrick. If you guys remember during COVID, a lot of the federal workers that were not able to work because a lot of things were closed down, a lot of federal places like museums and different things like in the District of Columbia, courthouses and all these things were closed down. The majority of people that were not able to work was our people. A lot of the Edomites, the jobs they have, they can work from home. They can work remote. Like, for instance, if you work Social Security, right? The Social Security Department, they can process calls from home. The VA can process calls from home. The IRS can process calls from home. But the people in the buildings that do security, maintenance, mail rooms, engineers, the hands-on people, because the building is closed, they didn't work. We were the main ones that suffered during that. And I will guarantee you it's the same thing now with those 200,000 federal workers that was laid off. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about this. It's a distraction. Now, I'm not telling Israelites we can't talk about it, because I know Israelites, I would expect Israelites to have some balance. But our people that are caught up in this, I'm telling you that they are distracted. That's the point.
Things that are talking about each other. It is so sad, man. Wake up and see what's going on. Drake and Kendrick do not care about y'all. They're doing this to make money, and that's all it is about, is making money. So keep your head on a swivel. Do not let these rappers, these MCs, if you want to call them that, distract you with these diss tracks any longer, because all it is just a huge ruse.
Now, y'all could take it or leave it, but I agree with 95% of what he said. Our people get carried away with everything. And they know that. They study us. Let's look at Psalms chapter 14, verse number 1. Because while we're being distracted, there needs to be something that's talked about that's going on right now in the world that's not being talked about much. This is Psalms chapter 14, verse 1. It says, "The fool have said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good." Now, I want you guys to take a look at this pie chart that I have here on the screen, which comes from Pew Research Center. So I didn't make this up. The Black Israelites didn't make this up. This comes from Pew Research, which is one of their most prestigious statistics companies that exist. Pew Research does a lot of research, especially when it comes to national elections, so forth and so on. They're one of the most trusted sources. So if we trust it then, we're going to trust it now. Let's take a look at Israel's diverse religious landscape. I want you guys to take a look at this, right? In this particular pie chart that was done, I want to say this came out in 2014 to 2015. This is when the survey was conducted. So this was done like 10 years ago. A full 40% of the small hats that live in the land today, over there today, a full 40% of them don't believe in the Most High. They're the fools that say that there is no God. A full 40%, that's almost half of the population over there, do not believe in the Most High. But yet, these devils will tell you that they fulfill prophecy about going back to the land. There's no scripture in existence that tells you when the people go back to the land, 40% of them will be unbelievers. That's not biblical. That's not biblical. Here is another study from, I want to say about maybe 10 years before that. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. No, about 5 to 6 years before that one. This comes from a statistic that was in 2009. Right? Let's look here. In 2009, 42% in this particular study, which is even higher than the other one, identify as a small hat. We'll use that word. They identify as being Jewish, but they don't believe in no God. They just claim the identity because it's for political reasons, it's for financial reasons, but they don't actually practice, right? And then you have another full 25% that are just straight out atheists. How in the blue hell, that's what you West Indians say, how in the blue hell can you be the people fulfilling the prophecy of going back to the land when 42% of you guys are not practicing and another 25% on top of that, are atheists? That's 67%. That's more than half of the population. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 10, start from verse number 1. It says, "Why standest thou afar off, O Lord? Why hidest thyself in the time of trouble?" And I see that sort of thing trending on TikTok as well. You have a lot of black people that are basically uneducated when it comes to the Bible and the mind of the Most High. They think the Most High's mind operates the way ours does, when clearly in the book of Isaiah chapter 55, the Most High says, "My thoughts are not your thoughts, and my ways are not your ways. As the heavens is higher than the earth, so is my ways higher than your ways." So our mind, the way we process things through our logic, is below the mind of the Most High. So we can't fathom certain things. So you'll see a lot of videos online with people saying, "Where was the Most High during slavery? Why standest thou afar off, O Lord?" Like, where was he? Why hidest thou ourselves in a time of trouble? Was slavery not a time of trouble? So a lot of our people are wondering, why did the Most High, quote unquote, hide himself during that time of trouble? Not understanding Hosea chapter 4, where verse 15, the Most High said he will go and return to his place till what? Till we acknowledge our offense. So the answer is, the reason why the Most High hid himself is because we offended. And until we acknowledged our offense, like Solomon said, we have to humble ourselves and pray, seek the Most High's face, turn from our wicked ways, acknowledge what it is we did, which is what we're doing now. We acknowledge our offense and we're repenting. But until then, the Most High is going to continue to allow these nations to do what they do. Moving on to verse 2. "The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in devices that they imagine." So it's nothing wrong with wishing that these wicked nations, the Most High, what they're planning to do to us, because they are planning to do stuff to us, we can pray to the Most High for the Most High to do that to them. Some of you brothers and sisters be wondering what to pray for. I don't know how to pray. Just read the book of Psalms. It gives you all types of prayers. Pray to the Most High that they get taken in the same devices that they imagine for us. Verse 3, "For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire." I'm going to show you guys what the wicked man, these people, their heart's desire is, because we're being distracted with other stuff. Meanwhile, there's something major taking place right now. Your man Orange 45, aka Orange 47, aka Donald Trump, has openly said the same thing. And it is definitely very important to understand they're trying to use Bible prophecy to go forward with what they're trying to do. Meanwhile, the majority of them are atheists. So how does that work? Verse 3, "For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous." So Donald Trump is a big supporter of Israel, because I know some of you Israelites are big Donald Trump supporters. Well, Donald Trump is a big supporter of the Israelis who are covetous. I'm going to show you how they're covetous in a short amount of time. Whom the Lord abhorreth. The Most High abhors people that are covetous of our nations and the other nations. Verse number 4. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God. Right. That's why there are so many people that are in the land right now that don't believe in the Most High. They're not seeking after the Most High. They're in that land for political purposes and financial purposes. That's why they're there. They're not seeking the Most High. God is not in all his thoughts. Verse 5. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. These people don't believe that at any time, any type of adversity is going to come to them, that they're just going to continue doing what it is that they're doing. And they're going to be successful at the things that they plan on doing in the future. But the Most High God is going to interrupt all of that. All of it. Now, let's take a look at a little bit more from Pew Research. This one kind of encapsulates what I was saying. It says here they're small hats for political and economic gain mainly. So this is from Pew Research. You guys can see this report was March 8th, 2016. Let's just read these two paragraphs. Really, you know what? Let's read the last paragraph just to get to the point for the sake of time. Overall, small hats are less religious than members of Israel's other major faith communities. So, of the people living in the land right now, right? The small hats are the most atheist out of everybody living in the land. Look at this. Muslims, Christians, and Druze, by most comparable measures. For instance, fully 68% of Israeli Muslims, meaning you have a lot of people that identify as Muslims in the land, 68% of them believe in their fake Allah, but they believe. 68% of Israeli Muslims say religion holds a very important place in their lives, followed by 57% of Christians, 49% of Druze, and only 30% of the small hats. So only 30%, that means 70% of the small hats living in the land today say the Most High God and his ways, his laws, his statutes, his commandments do not play an important part in their life. 70% feel like that. How in the hell do they fit prophecy? They don't. They don't. They're not the people. Now, we believe in 2 or 3 witnesses, right? So now let's look at the times of Israel. February 14th, 2025. Let's bring it up to date. Maybe something has changed. So let's bring it up to date. That was 2 days ago, guys. 2 days ago. Let's look at it, what it says right here. An Israeli Central Bureau of Statistics survey published in 2021 found that among Israeli Jews over the age of 20, about 45% identify as secular or non-religious. So this number has been pretty consistent all the way going back from 2009 all the way up to 2025. Almost half the people that live in that land do not identify with the actual heritage, the mores, the folkways, the customs that accompany being a quote-unquote Jew. They just like the name and they like the privileges. That's it. Look at Isaiah chapter 2. The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it. This mountain of the Lord's house that's going to be established on top of all the other mountains, which mountains represents governments in the Bible, is Israel. And it says all nations are going to flow unto it. Verse 3. And many people shall go and say, come, ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. How is the law going forth from Zion? And how is the word of the Lord going forth from Jerusalem if 45% of these people identify as unbelievers? How's that possible? And where do we see all the nations going, and many people going to Israel to learn about God's laws? Where do we see that? We don't, because they're not the people. And we know that the scripture is also repeated in the mouth of a second witness, which is the prophet Micah. He says the same thing in Micah chapter 4. We don't have to read it. So clearly, something is missing. The Bible is saying one thing. Then when we look at this people over here, they're doing something else. They're completely the antithesis of what the Bible says should be. Those of us who the Most High's light is shining upon, those of us who have wisdom, we can clearly see they can't be the people. They don't fit prophecy. We can see that. Their time is up, guys. Every day that you see the Israelites waking up more and more, their time is up. The Bible tells us in Revelation chapter 7 that the angels are holding back the four winds until the servants of the Most High are sealed in their foreheads. Of course, that's going to come through preaching, as we know. So there's work to be done. But understand, they're not going to go down without a fight. I hope you guys do realize that, right? This is Luke chapter 21, verses 21 through 24. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter therein. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. So the Most High took vengeance on the Israelites and allowed the Romans to come in and besiege us, destroy our temple, loot our temple, build pagan statues and pagan temples in our holy city, which is Jerusalem. And you guys know the rest of the history, right? You guys know the rest of the history. Just bear with me 1 second. I think I heard I'll come back in. So he must have dropped out. So let me just bring him back in real quick. Okay. All right. Okay. Verse 23. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword. It happened in 70 AD when the Romans besieged Jerusalem. And shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So when we fell by the edge of the sword and we were led away captive into all nations, ever since then, from that time on, the Gentiles have been the ones that have been controlling our Holy Land. Now, there were several times throughout history that we fought them to get it back. But those times that we fought these Gentiles to get our Holy Land back, it was not under the banner of being Israelites. It was under the banner of being Christians. And those time periods are what is known in history as the Crusades, where you had a lot of us Israelites that were Christians. When we were ruling Europe at the time, when we were Christians, we would make crusades to take the Holy Land back. But we never did it as Israelites, right? And ultimately, the Arabs got into control of our Holy Land up until the time now where the so-called Jews control it. Right? Let's move on. So now, while we're being distracted by, and I just use the Kendrick and Drake thing as one thing, we know that there's 1,000 other things that Negroes are distracted by too. But while we're being distracted by that, Esau is moving ahead with his nefarious plans. How many brothers and sisters have ever heard the term Greater Israel? If you're familiar with the term Greater Israel, put 1 in the chat. If you're not familiar with it, that's fine. We're going to learn about it together. How many of you guys have heard of the term Greater Israel? If you have, put 1 in the chat. All right. I'm not going to look and see who's putting 1. I'm just, just giving y'all something to do so that we are interactive so you guys don't fall asleep. Hopefully, I'm not boring you guys. All right, let's move on.
Hey, Priest, before you move on, real quick, while you're checking the chat also, this is good to note if, as a suggestion, the history of Israel, the conquerors, after we fled 70 AD, so on, who came in, who took over, right? The Crusades, what's that Ishmaelite dude? Suleiman, all the Muslim, all the people who took over the Holy Land all the way up to now. I think that would be a powerful class, because a lot of people don't understand how this land that we call Israel right now, how it is that Amalek is in charge and who was there before and the Balfour Agreement and blah, blah, blah. I think that would be a powerful class. I'm just, throwing that out there.
All right. All praises. So, guys, you can see from this map, before I move any further, even if you don't know what Greater Israel is, if you look at this map and you have discernment, you can see what it is, right? Here is where Israel is today, right here. But look, everything in red. Everything in red is the Greater Israel. What do you guys think that means? Using your just common sense and logic, what do you guys think that means? Well, what we don't want to do is we don't want to put words in people's mouth. We don't want to do that. So, once again, for you guys on Clubhouse, you guys are welcome to click the link at the top of the room and come over so you can watch, because we've reached a portion of the lesson now. I'm going to play a lot of videos. So, if you're on Clubhouse, you can definitely click the link at the top of the room and come on over. So now, if you don't know what Greater Israel is, I'm not going to put words in their mouth. I'm going to allow them to tell you. So here we have the current Prime Minister of Israel, right? And he's holding 2 maps. He's holding 2 maps in his hand. These people are atheists. But I want you guys to understand they're going to be using Bible prophecy and trying to insert themselves in prophecy because it's convenient for their agenda. That's what they're doing. So let's get an idea of what Greater Israel is. Pay attention, guys.
Israel will devour its neighboring countries and create a large country called Greater Israel. You see, Israel is an expansionist country, similar to China, and it is gradually increasing its territory. Greater Israel includes the entire area of Palestine, Jordan, and Lebanon, as well as parts of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Syria, Iraq, and Turkey. This is not a new concept. In Zionism, the founder, Theodore Herzl, considered the area from the Nile River to the Euphrates River as Jewish territory. According to historians, it is due to this concept of Greater Israel that Israel is always looking for opportunities to attack its neighboring countries.
They're always looking for opportunities to attack neighboring countries. They create certain false flags and they use it as an opportunity to go to war against neighboring countries because ultimately they're looking to expand. I want you guys to understand that. Let's go.
Experts also believe that this entire plan is backed by the United States, which uses Israel to maintain its dominance in the Middle East.
So we back it because if Israel can control and come up with something called a Greater Israel where they can expand their borders, guess what? We have more control over there too. So we with it. We're with it.
This is why, not long ago, Donald Trump mentioned in one of his speeches that Israel is very small and needs to be enlarged. Therefore, whenever Israel attacks any country, the United States always supports it.
Let's move on to the next slide, guys.
Israel.
Where does the idea of a greater Israel come from? It comes from the Bible, guys. I want you guys to stay with me and pay attention. There was a reason you guys were wondering, well, why is he showing us all these statistics on these small hats being unbelievers and atheists? Why? Because I'm trying to show you they really don't believe any of this, but they will use the Bible as a weapon in order to further their agenda. Everybody understand what's happening here? Because the Bible clearly says that there is a greater Israel. There's a greater plot of land than what you see them living in today that was promised to Abraham. And they know that. That's promised to us. But what they're going to do is they're going to try to use the Bible as a weapon, and they're going to try to accomplish this that the Bible says God would accomplish. Understand that. This is Genesis chapter 15, verse 18. It says, in the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land. From the river of Egypt. What's the river of Egypt right here, guys? The Nile. Even unto the great river Euphrates. Where's the great river Euphrates? Right here. Right here. So the Most High promised Abraham from the Nile to the Euphrates. That's the reason why, guys. If you've been following me a long time, you guys have heard me say this before. That's the reason why, guys, you find a lot of our people with a spiritual connection to Egypt. Right? It's spiritual, guys, whether you realize it or not. Egyptian gods, Egyptian mystery system, the Egyptian pantheon, the Egyptian customs and all that's off. But the reason why there's a spiritual connection from some of our people to the land itself is because part of that land was promised to Abraham. Nothing that you see on earth is what you think it is. It was promised to Abraham. So in our people's spirit, innately, there is a connection to the land because it's really ours. Not all of it. Just from the Nile, this part of Egypt, to the Euphrates, not to the west. This was promised to Abraham. Is everybody with me? That's where the idea of a greater Israel comes from. But as you guys can see right here, they're taking Bible prophecy and they're trying to enact it themselves. That's what this is. That's what this is. You guys heard Donald Trump saying that they were going to come in and take Gaza. That's one of the first steps in this plan. Let's go. This is man trying to fulfill prophecy that Yahweh God said he would do. Let's go. This is where your tax dollars are going, ladies and gentlemen. Pay your taxes. Hey, it's February. You know, remember what's the deadline? April 14th. Make sure you guys pay your taxes because this is where it's going. Look.
Eventually, our borders will extend from Lebanon, the Great Desert, which is Saudi Arabia, and then from the Mediterranean to the Euphrates. And then we're going to...
I need to stop it. I'm going to play it again. I want you guys to see this is an Israeli politician. They're telling you, he's telling you, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take all that land. We're going to take it.
Eventually, our borders will extend from Lebanon, the Great Desert, which is Saudi Arabia, and then from the Mediterranean to the Euphrates. And then we're going to take, I believe we're going to take Mecca, Medina, and Mount Sinai and purify those places.
Now, I want you guys to pay attention to this. This is a picture of an Israeli soldier's uniform patch. What do you guys see here? They have the entire from the Nile to the Euphrates. They don't have the land map as they have it today, how Israel exists today. No, they have from the Nile to the Euphrates on their patches, on their uniforms. They're wearing that. That's symbolism. That is their goal. That is almost a form of manifest destiny. If you're an adult, you went to high school, you should know what manifest destiny is. Where the United States decided that they wanted to have a country that extended from the Atlantic to the Pacific. It's called manifest destiny, meaning God's destiny for them. Well, this is what the so-called Jews believe. They believe that this is God's destiny for them, but it's not. It's God's destiny for us. Is everybody with me? It's for us. But they're trying to insert themselves in the prophecy. All right, let's go to the next slide, guys. That's where your tax dollars are going, by the way.
Eventually.
Now, I've gone over this before, but repetition is an important part of teaching, right? What is a PAC? And what is a super PAC? We went over this during the time right before the election. For those of you guys that don't know what a PAC is, that is a political action committee. And a super PAC is a super political action committee. These are the movers and shakers. Brothers and sisters, you wonder why you have a so-called black man, black woman as a mayor, a city council member, a state representative, a representative in Congress, a senator, or hell, president, a so-called black man or black woman, or a so-called Latino city council member, mayor, state representative, senator. You always wonder, why don't they do anything for us? We always hoop and holler. We have the pom-poms out. Our people had the pom-poms out for Kamala Harris, right? 92% of black women voted for Kamala Harris, 81% of black men. Why? Because we put our faith in a politician. And the Bible teaches us clearly in Jeremiah 17, cursed be the man that trusteth in man. But besides that, when our people think that way, what that says to me and what it should say to you is these are people that don't understand the way politics work. If you think a politician is going to go into the office and do things for you or your community just because they look like you don't understand politics. Politicians are moved by special interest groups. That's who they act on behalf of. Special interest groups. Who are these special interest groups? These are political action committees that put money behind these politicians. That's what they answer to. These political action committees. Now let's refresh our memory. Again, we went over this right before the election, but let's refresh our memory. This is a video from a YouTube channel called Simple Civics. Let's go.
So you want to know more about political action committees or PACs? Well, let's unpack the different ways money can influence elections.
Money influences elections, not you. Understand that.
Campaigns are expensive. Travel, consultants, events, and lots of ads on TV, radio, and social media. So where does all that money come from? The short answer is campaign contributions. For federal elections, there are limits to the amount of money an individual or party can contribute directly to a candidate's campaign. And corporations, foreign nationals, and unions are prohibited from directly contributing at all. Yet, there is more than one way to influence an election. Political action committees, or PACs, are nonprofit organizations that combine the money from several donors in order to support or defeat a candidate or legislation. These PACs are typically centered around an ideology or trade group.
So these political action committees, what they do is they are nonprofit organizations that they combine their money. They pool their resources from several donors and they support candidates, or they spend their money to defeat you. So when you guys see all these commercials playing on television or on the radio for a particular candidate, it is not the candidate that's running a lot of these ads. It's usually political action committees that are running these ads. Why? Because the candidate is going to do their bidding should they win. Or they want to defeat a particular candidate that goes against whatever it is their interest is. Right? Everybody's with me so far? Everybody's good? Okay. This is an American professor named James Mearsheimer. So you guys know what type of person he is. He wears the small hats when he goes to temple. Let's read Luke chapter 8, verse 17 real quick. It says, "For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest." Everything is being made manifest right now before our eyes. Yet the majority of our people can't see it because the Bible says, we read earlier in Isaiah 60, verse 2, the people are in gross darkness. So even though things are being made manifest, even though it's right in front of their faces, they're so entrenched in this darkness. They're so distracted by trivial things that even when these people like this come out and tell you what it is, our people can't see it. They can't see it. Neither anything hid that shall not be made known and come abroad. So let's listen to Professor Mearsheimer on how lobbies work.
Let me talk a little bit about how the lobby operates. It operates at two levels, one of which you were talking about and one which you were not talking about. The first level, which you were not talking about, is in terms of public opinion and in terms of dealing with the public. And there, the lobby is deeply concerned with controlling as much as possible the discourse.
Lobbies pay money to control the discourse. They want to control what you're allowed to say. Certain people that speak to their interest are platformed. What does it mean to be platformed? Meaning you're brought on big platforms. You get to sit down with Joe Rogan. You get to sit down on a national news channel. You'll be invited on a national news channel. But if you speak and say certain things, you will not ever be invited. You'll never get on the Breakfast Club. No. They control the discourse. Listen.
We're talking about before. The lobby does not want Israel to be portrayed in a negative light. The lobby does not want much discussion of the lobby's role.
So the lobby doesn't want Israel to be portrayed in a negative light. So you have political action committees that support candidates, including those that look like you and I, that will say all the right things that they want them to say for the money. And the candidates that actually tell the truth, the lobby spends money to make sure that they lose. That's what they do.
American politics, right? The lobby wants to control the discourse or influence the discourse as much as possible. And that has become exceedingly difficult to do. That was the point that I was making to you earlier. Second, this is the second avenue of influence. The lobby is interested in making sure that policymakers inside Congress and inside the executive branch, and here we're talking not just about the White House, but also the State Department, the Defense Department, and so forth and so on, making sure those policymakers support Israel unconditionally.
Unconditional support. So they're going to make sure, and they're going to spend money to make sure that the person that gets into the White House, unconditional support of Israel no matter what. The State Department, Supreme Court justices, people in Congress, senators, unconditional support.
Hey, Priest, real quick. There was a video of this black lady. She was in Congress. I think she was from California. I forgot what her name was. She came out and said that if you go to Congress, right, before you swear in, they tell you that you have to make an oath to Israel. Are you familiar with that? You know what I'm talking about?
No, but we can definitely, that'll be in part 4. We'll find that, identify that, and we'll drop that in part number 4. All praises.
God.
Yeah, I didn't see that, no.
Yes. Also, real quick, I wanted to say that the lobby also, outside of the sphere of politics, they deal with media, right? Because let's bring it down to the average Negro level. How come no Israelite has ever been on the Breakfast Club, right? How come Charlemagne always talk trash about the Hebrew Israelites? You know what I'm saying? Because he's hired by what? iHeart, right? iHeart is owned by who? So on and so forth. So when you talk about the lobby, also it deals with the political wing, but it also stretches out. It has tentacles that deals in media also. And if they say, "Hey, shut down the Israelites," well, that's just what it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to bring that out.
Okay. And we saw how quickly, Salaki, we saw how quickly Kyrie Irving got shut down. He didn't even open his mouth and talk. He just copied and pasted the link. That's all he did. And the lobby made sure he got shut down. Shut down. Nick Cannon, shut down. They're trying to shut down Kanye West. But anyway, I don't want to deviate too far. Let's keep going.
Word unconditionally cannot be underestimated. So the name of the game here is to influence those policymakers. Now, there are obviously many policymakers who think that what Israel is doing in Gaza is reprehensible.
Because what they're doing in Gaza is that's step number one in this greater Israel plan that they have to take over the entire Middle East. And there are politicians that know what's going on, they know what time it is, and they speak against it, and the lobby makes sure that they lose in the election. That's what they do.
But they will not speak out. And they will vote in support of Israel at almost every turn.
Stop supporting politicians. Stop hoping in politicians, especially on a national level. They do not have your interest at heart at all.
A few exceptions, but not many. That raises the question, why? And the answer is that in the United States, to get elected to office and to remain in office, campaign contributions matter enormously. And the lobby is really good at providing money, providing resources for individuals who support the lobby's positions. And anyone who doesn't support the lobby's positions will find him or herself being opposed by someone in the next primary or in the next, campaign by someone who supports Israel and who is getting a huge amount of money from pro-Israel sources. So politicians, and this again includes politicians in the executive branch and in the legislative branch, understand that there will be a huge price to pay if they don't support Israel hook, line, and sinker. And they end up, in almost all cases, supporting Israel as a result. If you took away the ability of the lobby to provide campaign funds for political candidates, I think you would see very different voting patterns when it comes to Israel. Because this is not a case of all these politicians loving Israel and feeling they have to support Israel because it shares our values or it's a strategic asset. They do it in good part out of fear that the lobby will put its crosshairs on them and defeat them for office.
And that's how our political system works. That's how it works. So a lot of people were distracted by all the shenanigans in the last election, not realizing it didn't matter who win. They control both sides. And they play both sides. And they fund both sides. So again, none of this stuff is anti-Semitic because we're not talking. What are we doing, brothers and sisters? We're just listening. We're letting them do all the talking. Oh, you thought this was a democracy, right? Here is one of the biggest political action committees right here. See? AIPAC. What is AIPAC? AI stands for American Israeli Political Action Committee. They endorsed 322 candidates in the last election. Brothers and sisters, 100% of their Democrat candidates they supported won their elections. 100%. So if you're wondering why these politicians don't do nothing for you, here it is. This is just one political action committee. They have 100% win rate. 193 of their candidates that were Republicans won their election as well. Let's listen to this video for a little while. Probably won't play the whole thing, but let's listen to it.
Talk about AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. It was incorporated in 1963. For 10 years prior to that, it was known as the American Zionist Committee for Public Affairs. AIPAC calls itself America's pro-Israel lobby, and according to its website, it has over 3 million members across the country in regional chapters working to, quote, expand and strengthen the U.S.-Israel relationship, end quote. You may know AIPAC as being one of the biggest and most recognizable donors to many of the members of Congress in your state. But contributing to campaigns is a relatively new function of the organization. Before 2021, AIPAC did not endorse candidates nor give political contributions. Its focus was on lobbying elected officials, not actually electing officials. But in a dramatic shift in policy, AIPAC began directly funding candidates and spending big on races in 2021. AIPAC Political Action Committee, AIPAC-PAC, filed something called a Statement of Organization with the FEC just in time for the 2022 election cycle, where it spent $50 million, including both direct contributions to candidates and outside spending like TV advertisements. According to AIPAC, it donated money to 365 candidates from both parties, including every single member of both Democratic and Republican leadership in Congress.
Translation, brothers and sisters, they play both sides. They play both sides.
109 Republicans who voted against the certification of the 2020 presidential election in America received campaign contributions from AIPAC. All in all, AIPAC gave money to 342 members of the 118th Congress. The 2022 elections were the most expensive midterms in American history, with a total cost of $8.9 billion spent. Now, last year, AIPAC ranked 15th in total expenditure by a political action committee, according to data collected by Open Secret. But take a look at the other funders that AIPAC is competing against for that title. Act Blue and Win Red. They are Democratic and Republican Party machines. Save America is Donald Trump's money-raising operation. The Conservative Club for Growth, Emily's List, focuses on electing Democratic women to office. All of the PACs on this list are massively domestic-focused ideological machines. AIPAC is the only organization in the top 20 whose interests are focused entirely on America's relationship to a foreign government.
So, translation, this is the only political action committee on the list that actually supports a foreign government and their interests, and they try to sway our elected quote-unquote officials to do their bidding. They're allowed to be the only one. But somehow or another, this is a coincidence. Let's move on. This is a screenshot I took from the 2024 election. And basically it says the same thing. This is from their, I want to say this is from their Twitter page, right? And right here, they're bragging that they have a 100% win rate. How's that possible, Sway? How, Sway? How? Let's move on. Well, you know what? Let's play the video real quick.
AIPAC is celebrating their enormous victory within U.S. politics, stating that they've been able to capture 195 winning candidates here in the 2024 primaries. And
remember, all this is in relation to the fact that people are distracted by stuff that doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Meanwhile, your entire quote-unquote political system is being run by the small hats. All your elected officials are being run by the small hats, and the small hats are getting ready to wage a whole bunch of different wars in the Middle East, right, in order to expand to a quote-unquote greater Israel, amongst other nefarious things that they're planning on doing, while we're distracted with BS. Let's go.
Insane 100% win rate on the Democratic side. Now, this comes at a very odd time because Americans, suspicious, perhaps even fearful, of Israeli influence over American politics has never been higher than at this very moment. And AIPAC themselves just provided more proof of that exact fact.
All right, let's move on. Now, let's talk about your favorite guy again, Orange 45, aka Orange 47. I want you guys to focus right here on what I have on the screen. 2027. Is this a prophecy? Remember, you guys remember the 2000 prophecy that failed, right? You guys remember 2012? Y'all remember that? Y'all remember 2020? There's all these dates, right? Well, this is not necessarily a prophecy, but 2027 is a goal. I want you guys to listen. 2027 is a goal of theirs. That's 2 years from now. I want you to listen to what this guy with the bra cup on his head has to say concerning some of you guys' favorite politician that you guys think this guy is independent and he's going to make America great again and all this other stuff. No, listen.
The current non-Jewish Messiah was chosen to be of service to the Jewish people and the Jewish Messiah. President Trump's right ear was grazed in a symbolic gesture of Exodus 21:6, where the Torah states that a servant who wants to remain with his master needs to have his right ear pierced.
So now, did you guys catch that, or that was too fast for y'all? Right? In the scripture, a servant that wants to remain with his master had to bore his ear as a symbol or sign that he wanted to stay with his master for the rest of his life. Now, I'm not saying it's true or it's false, but what this guy is saying is that thing that you guys saw happen to Donald Trump was symbolic. It was symbolism. Because you could clearly see, to me, I'm speaking for myself, nobody else, that looked staged like a mofo. Staged as hell. So if it was staged, then what did it really represent? There's some type of symbolism behind it that the average person is not going to pick up on. But this guy has a theory on it. So again, let's go back and let's hear his theory. Translation, Donald Trump is their servant. Listen.
The current non-Jewish Messiah was chosen to be of service to the Jewish people and the Jewish Messiah. President Trump's right ear was grazed in a symbolic gesture of Exodus 21:6, where the Torah states that a servant who wants to remain with his master needs to have his right ear pierced. Trump was designated as God's servant and anointed one, just like Cyrus the Great almost 2,400 years ago. We have clarified in several videos that the absolute deadline for the redemption is by the end of the Jewish year 5787, which corresponds to October 2nd,
2027. Pay attention.
Jewish year 5787, which corresponds to October 2nd, 2027. 1,167 days from today.
That's their goal. Is anybody saying that what they have in mind is going to happen in that amount of time? No, nobody's saying that, but that's a goal. So don't be surprised if over the next couple of years, you guys start to see things escalate around the world. And with the escalation of things around the world, you're going to be given more distractions here too. Don't get it twisted. You're going to be given more distractions. Understand that.
Thus, the redemption will surely occur during Donald Trump's tenure.
They say the redemption of their people is going to occur during Donald Trump's tenure, which he only has 4 years. So to me, reading in between the lines, they plan on accelerating things. We got to keep our eyes peeled, our head on a swivel, and pay attention. I'm going to go back a little bit, and I'm going to let it play a little bit this time, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to let it play a little bit this time. Let's go.
Jewish year 5787, which corresponds to October 2nd, 2027. 1,167 days from today. Thus, the redemption will surely occur during Donald Trump's tenure. And I have good reason to believe Donald Trump was chosen to be the one to redeem the sins of Esav through offering his assistance in rebuilding the Holy Temple on the Temple Mount and establishing the Jewish kingdom over all of mankind in Jerusalem. Perhaps it is no accident that the numeric value of Donald Trump in Hebrew is the same as Messiah, son of David, Mashiach ben David, 424. However, Donald Trump is mistaken if he thinks he was chosen to make America great again. He will no doubt do a lot of good things to strengthen our economy, protect our borders, and allow religious freedom to flourish. But America will never become a great country on its own, because Esav's days are numbered. All our elite institutions and centers of power and influence are rotten through and through. The majority of Americans under 30 who are college educated and who are the future leaders of America support the vicious monsters of Hamas rather than the holy and courageous soldiers of the IDF.
Now, we don't support the Palestinians or Hamas at all, but I'm reading between the lines. In other words, American youth, is what he's saying, they understand and see right through these small hats. And they know it. They know it. They know that Israel, modern Israel, is corrupt as hell and is over there committing genocide. They know that.
No human being, even Donald Trump, can reverse this. No. The greatness of America does not lie in its own success. America will be great when the Messiah comes. And the leader of this country, on behalf of all the good people in this country, will humbly present himself to the Jewish Messiah
In other words, America will have to bow down to them. That's what they want. And he's saying he wants this to happen by the end of Donald Trump's term. Again, we're not prophesying and saying it's going to happen, but we need to pay attention to what's happening in the world. That's the point. That's the point. Now, we're going to watch this video, and the important part of this video is at 35 seconds. This is a completely different video. This one is in the United Kingdom, and you have one of their top military officers that's speaking, and he also speaks about the year 2027. It's something about that year. Again, we don't know what's going to happen between now and then. We don't know. But why do they keep talking about it? Just out of curiosity, I'm interested now. Listen, at 35 seconds, so it's going to be quick. Pay attention.
You're going to have a CDS or weaker Russia, but still a very, very dangerous Russia. And everything in our history tells you that when you think they're down and out, they come flying back. So why would this century be any different?
Russia is a member of what he described as an axis of upheaval that could pose a challenge if the UK doesn't rebuild credible fighting forces to deter the threat. What is the danger posed by this convergence of threats, China, Russia, Iran and North Korea, by 2027?
By when? By when? Something about that date, why they keep talking about it. It may be nothing. I don't know.
Russia, Iran and North Korea by 2027 if the British Army isn't ready to fight and win.
The problem with the convergence is not that it inevitably triggers.
I don't want to spend too much time on this. I just wanted to get you guys just to think for a second. Think for a second. Let me play this video real quick. Are the Jews white? Let's listen to what she has to say.
Are Jews white? This is the hot topic on TikTok right now because of Whoopi Goldberg and her ridiculous conversation on The View about the Holocaust. And as a Jewish woman on this app, as a Jewish creator, let's talk about it. Some Jews are white, like me, but our whiteness is conditional, and that's why it's different. We are not always white. We are white when it is convenient. We are white when our whiteness boosts the numbers of white people in order to oppress people of color.
In other words, she's speaking about her own people. She says they only identify as white out of convenience, out of opportunity, just like they identify as Jewish out of convenience and opportunity, because we saw with the charts and the graphs, the majority of them are atheists. They're atheists.
We are white until we're fucking not. And when we're not, we are almost hated in a different way because we can fool you with our whiteness. We can assimilate, which is why the man with the name that starts with H put stars on our jackets so we wouldn't trick anybody. Judaism is both a religion that you can practice and an ethnicity. You can be Jewish and not practice Judaism. And
that's not biblical. That's not biblical. But anyway, let's move on. There's a lot to get to. All right. I'm going to skip this for now. Now, with all these things that we're talking about, right, and Elder Zahab alluded to it earlier, and I have a couple of slides that speak to this, they have to control not only politics, but they have to control the media too. That's why you're being fed things, and things are being perpetuated on the media and on social media that distract you from what's really going on in the world. That's by design. But that's not just myself and Elder Zahab being conspiracy theorists. I know, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to tell you this. They're going to tell you this. This is the Paley Center for Media, and she is a representative of Israel. Listen, let's listen to what she has to say.
But one of the privileges I get in that job is to really sit with Jewish communities around the world.
So let's look at who she is. Her name is Jordana Cutler, and she's Meta, aka Facebook, aka Instagram. She's Meta's Israel and Jewish diaspora policy chief, right? So she works for Meta. She works for Zuckerberg. And what she does, in a nutshell, brothers and sisters, is suppresses information. That's what she does. Let me let her tell you.
But one of the privileges I get in that job is to really sit with Jewish communities around the world and think about how can I empower what they're saying on a local level and figure out how we can, on a global platform, find answers to that. And some of that is definitely working on those content issues that you mentioned earlier about removing content.
Removing content. That's why a lot of times a lot of videos get taken down and flagged. They remove content
that is hate speech or targeting Jews.
And that is subjective. Hate speech is subjective. In other words, you could be telling something that is a truth, but if they deem it hate speech, they remove it.
Or things that make Jewish people feel unsafe, and we spend a lot of time working with partners around the world to make sure we're getting it right, whether having things like Holocaust denial and distortion not allowed on our platforms, having a very nuanced policy on not allowing even harmful stereotypes of saying Jews run the world.
But guess what? Jewish newspapers say Jews run the world. I think let me see if I can find that real quick. Let's see if I can find it real quick. I've shown you guys that before. Let's see if I can find it real quick or if it's going to be tough. I had the article. It was in the LA Times. I'm not going to be able to find it winging it, and I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I have the article.
What's the key? I'll look for it. What's the key words? I'll send it to you so you can keep it pushing.
You know what? Time is short. I won't even bother. I'm just going to stick with the PowerPoint. I'm going to stick with the PowerPoint because time is short. I'll show it another time. Where were we? Let's come back here.
But one of the privileges
shortly after in Spain, 300 in the Torah right?
Jews or things that make Jewish people feel unsafe, and we spend a lot of time working with partners around the world to make sure we're getting it right, whether having things like Holocaust denial and distortion not allowed on our platforms, having a very nuanced policy on not allowing even harmful stereotypes of saying Jews run the world.
Why empire rise and collapse? Every once in a while, new empire dominant.
So you guys saw the main thing. I don't want this video is kind of long. I don't want to go too far with it, but they control social media and they basically remove content that tells the truth, right?
So,
go ahead.
Hold on, priest. So if that's the case, why are they allowing Kanye West to talk all that anti-Semitic crap? Or is he like a control opposition? Not to divert, King. Just want to bring that out.
I mean, only the Most High knows, but more likely than not, he might be controlled opposition. He just might be. We don't know, though. We don't know. Now, here is another place called the McCain Institute. Let's hear what they have to say. It says, join the dots, connect the dots. Listen.
Which is some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok.
Now, guys, I want you guys to understand something because this is quick. The TikTok ban goes deeper than a lot of you think. Because TikTok is one of the few places that the small hats do not control. They don't control that. And so that's why there was such a push to shut it down. There's other outlier theories as well, because you had a lot of Congress people that had invested in Meta stock, right? So that was part of it as well. But one of the main reasons why they wanted to shut TikTok down is because it's not controlled. It's an open source of information, and they don't like that. This is a quick video, so I'm going to start at the beginning again.
Which is some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature. If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok broadcast. So I'd know that's of real interest, and the president will get the chance to make action in that regard.
So to understand what these guys are saying is that there's a lot of sympathetic people that are sympathetic to the quote unquote Palestinians and their plight over in Israel today, because they realize the same people that cry crocodile tears about what Adolf you-know-who did, the same people that cry those crocodile tears are actually doing the same thing in the Gaza and the West Bank today. They're doing the same thing to another group of people. And so there's a lot of people online that are sympathetic to that. So you know what they do? Listen, there's people that are journalists, independent journalists that are actually going over there with their cameras, documenting what's happening and posting it to TikTok for the world to see. And they don't like that. Why? Because they control the media, so they only show you their side, what's happening to their people, but not what they're doing to the people. So they wanted to shut it down. And that's just one aspect because they're doing wicked and evil all over the world. There's an exchange of information all over the world via TikTok. Videos are allowed to live on TikTok that have been banned years ago on YouTube, that were banned years ago on Instagram. Those videos live on TikTok today. So they want to get rid of it. Understand that. Let's go to the next video. Here we have this guy named Jonathan Greenblatt. He's the head of the ADL. More anti-free speech right on the Breakfast Club. Listen.
So literally, we opened a center in Silicon Valley back in 2017. And the woman who runs it, she's an ex-Facebook executive. I have software engineers and data scientists working at ADL. We're monitoring all this stuff. And we're working with all the platforms, by the way, Google and YouTube.
They monitor everything that people are posting, and they work with all the platforms. The only one that they were not able to work with was TikTok.
And at ADL, we're monitoring all this stuff. And we're working with all the platforms, by the way, Google and YouTube and Meta and Twitter and Reddit and Steam and Amazon, all these companies. From like Apple to Zoom, we work with all of them, okay? That's relevant because we've been working with Twitter now since it was founded. We worked with the old regime, working with the new regime.
So they want to control the flow of information, control free speech, right? And TikTok was the one place where you still can get that. So what they wanted to do was they wanted to take away that from you, which, by the way, the ban is still in effect. We only got a 75-day reprieve from January 19th, 75 days after that, right? But in the meantime, we'll give you guys some distractions. And so when you go on that platform, a lot of the stuff that pops up on your For You page is distractions. You have the gender wars. That's what's popping up mostly on your For You page. You have the Kanye thing. You have Whack 100 and gang stuff, and all the stuff that is about nothing is what pops up on your For You page to keep you distracted. Now, you can, to a degree, control your own algorithm, as I always tell people, because these algorithms are completely sophisticated, very sophisticated, and they kind of watch what you watch. And so the reason why it's called a For You page, the algorithm is deciding what videos is best for you, best to suggest to you. So you watch 1 or 2 videos on TikTok about a particular subject. Next thing you know, you're going to have 100 videos pop up on your For You page of the same thing. And don't worry, it's not just Judah. It's not just Judah. This week, you have a war going on between the Jamaicans and the Trinidadians. How many of you guys heard about that? This whole entire war going on between the Jamaicans and Trinidadians. Guess what the war is over on TikTok? Right? Instagram, Facebook to a lesser degree, but mainly on TikTok. Guess what the Jamaicans and the Trinidadians are going to war over? You guys are not going to believe me if you're not familiar with it. It's one of the stupidest things ever.
Food and dumb crap.
Yeah, food. They're arguing over food, right? So you have this Jamaican artist. Most of you guys have heard about him, whether you Benjamin or not, called Beanie Man, right? Beanie Man did a interview on Drink Champs like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whenever the hell it was, right? And one of the questions they asked him, he said he went to Trinidad. So in Trinidad, they have a national dish called doubles, right? Jamaica, their national dish is ackee and saltfish, right? I believe, if I'm wrong, Zai, correct me. But ackee and saltfish is the Jamaicans' national dish. That they're very protective over that. The Trinidadians, their national dish is called doubles, right? Now, from my understanding, doubles is not even something from the quote-unquote black Trinidadians. That's something that the Indian, because there's a lot of people from India and Trinidad, a lot. They run that. And that dish really comes from them. But all the Trinidadians basically, follow suit. So their national dish is called doubles, right? Which I've never had it. Right? Okay. And it's crazy because I'm from New York and there's a lot of Trinidadian restaurants in Brooklyn. So whatever. But I've never had it. Now, Beanie Man was asked on the Drink Champs interview, when he went to Trinidad, did he eat the doubles, right? He said no. And they asked him why. He said, because if you take the double and you throw it to the dogs ain't going to eat it. That's what he said, right? If you take the doubles and throw it to a dog is not going to eat it. So if a dog ain't going to eat it, we know dogs eat anything. If a dog ain't going to eat it, why should I eat it, right? Now, it was said in jest. It was a joke, right? When I tell you guys now, I'm probably going to mess up some of you guys' For You page. You're like, I never heard of that. Some of y'all, somebody going to be curious and go to TikTok and look up Beanie Man and doubles, and then your For You page is going to be messed up because you're going to be watching that for the rest of the day. That's all it's going to give you. But it goes to show you how stupid this stuff is. We're given these things as distractions while they try to suppress real information about what's going on. That's the point. Let's move on because time is of the essence.
So literally.
Now, I want you guys to see this. Recruiting Black communal leaders into Israel's war on Black Lives Matter, right? Now, this is from a article that I got online. Now, we don't support Black Lives Matter. We don't support them whatsoever, right? But I want you guys to look at this right here. Andy David right here at the bottom. Really, let's read this right here. I had a sit down. I had last week a sit down dinner at my house for 40 people, which I consider the leadership of the Black community. The Israeli diplomat recalled. Many very important people were there. They can be part of our doing and activities. Translation, this Israeli diplomat sat down with people that the media gives you as your leaders. Brothers and sisters, these people that they give you as your leaders are in their pockets. They're in their pockets, just like the politicians. They're in their pockets. Let's move on. Now, the next thing, you have an Israeli leader right here saying the young Black generation is a major problem. They look at your children as a problem. If we said it about their children, you'd be called anti-Semitic. But they openly will say, as you guys are going to hear, that our children to Israel is a problem. Our children are a problem to Israel. Don't take my word for it. Let's let her say it. Listen.
Of the Israeli government holding a private convention in the United States. One of the people in attendance at this secret meeting was Judith Varnai Shorer. She's a former Israeli consul general who was operating out of Atlanta. She was one of the main people saying that the biggest problem that they had was young Black people in the United States. But don't worry, they've got some Black leaders on the payroll.
The major problem with Israel is with the young generation of the Black community.
Did y'all see that? The major problem with Israel is with the young generation of the Black community. Our children are a threat or problem to them. Our children are a threat. They're the future. Because our children don't fall in line with the BS about these people. Our children, the youth, can see right through them, and they know that. So they see the youth as a problem. The youth are not like the old civil rights generation that loved them some daggone massa. The old Jim Crow Negroes. No, the youth don't see their oppressor that way. They see the oppressor as the oppressor. And they call it like it is. So that represents a problem to these people. And they say it openly.
Of the Israel.
So, what do you do with an enemy? Well, you go to war with your enemy. Who is the youth? By the way, we just identified the enemy is the Black youth. You go to war with the youth and you destroy them. That's what you do. You might say to yourself, well, okay, go to war with them and destroy them. How? How, Sway? Well, Salakia. Here's one of the main guys that's on the forefront or the front lines of this war against our children and our youth. This guy goes by the name of Leor, or as I call him, Liar Cohen, right? Born in New York City in 1959 to small hat immigrant parents, right? Now, currently right now, He is the co-founder of 300 Entertainment, and, brothers and sisters, he is the global head of music at YouTube. You know, like YouTube that we're on right now. He's the global head of music at YouTube. He's one of the most influential people in the music industry today. It's an open secret that they're making war with the youth via the music that's proliferated. Let's read the Bible first. Psalm 64, verse 1. Hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. Preserve my life from the fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked and from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. These devils, they sit down in these think tanks and they figure out how they can destroy our people openly without many of us even being able to be aware of it. The majority of our people that consume, the youth that consume this music that they listen to today, don't even realize that it's purposefully being peddled to destroy them. When you and I, the older folks, were coming up, there was a balance of music on the radio. Even if you're just into, let's just say you're somebody that was just into hip hop, right? In the early days of hip hop, you could turn on the radio or you could turn on the television and you will get a balance of music. They might have a song played from Public Enemy. And then right after that, they'll have a song played from NWA, which was negative, right? Then behind that, they'll have a Tribe Called Quest. Then behind that, they'll have some other gangster rap. Then behind that, they'll have Brand Nubians. But it was always a balance. You got to be able to, you were exposed to all the music, and you got a chance to decide what you wanted to listen to. Did you want to gear more towards the positive hip hop music, the positive R&B music, or if you wanted to veer more towards the negative, the ones that promoted guns and gangbanging? But you were given a choice. Nowadays, by the way, that was when we controlled hip hop, before hip hop went mainstream. Once hip hop became mainstream, now your choice is gone. Back in the days, if you went to New York, certain records would play on the radio. If you wanted to be exposed to music from the South, you had to go down South and you'd hear Southern music, right? If you wanted to be exposed to music on the West Coast, you'd have to go to the West Coast and be exposed to West Coast music. So every part of the country had their own music, both positive and negative, but you were exposed to everything, right? Nowadays, because a lot of corporations have merged and become these mega corporations, now these mega corporations own radio stations across the country. They're all owned by the same corporation. So guess what? It doesn't matter if you're in New York, New Jersey, Florida, Atlanta, Texas, California, Chicago. It doesn't matter where you are. All the same songs are being played on all the same radio stations, and they all have the same message, and it's to destroy our people, especially the youth. That's how they make war with us.
If an artist is talented, right? But you.
So this is Liar on The Breakfast Club. Yeah, he gets to be on The Breakfast Club, like Elazab said. We would never get up there to be able to tell the truth, but he gets on The Breakfast Club. But listen to what he said. This is how they make war with us. You gonna say something, Zab?
I don't think the generation now kind of fully understand who that cracker is, man, because that man he's in the background for a lot of your A1 top tier quality artists now, like your Jay-Z and your this and your that and your even what's the brother who passed away? Irv Gotti, Rough Riders. This man right here, he was pulling strings for all of that. So I kind of sort of a little bit push back when you say we had control, because if you go back, you had other Amaleks like Steve Rifkin. It's a whole bunch of them. They was behind the scenes and they ran Koch Records, Def Jam, Atlantic, all of that. So they always been pulling the strings, so to speak. But like you said, Priest, now that all of these labels consolidate and they all formed, it's easier for them to control what was pushed out. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, don't sleep on this dude you're about to watch right now. If you're Israelite of a certain age and you was in the music business, you would know exactly what we're talking about.
Right. But a lot of rappers had independent labels like Wu-Tang, NWA. These are groups that were selling records out the back of their car, and they decided to sell out to the big corporations. They didn't have to do that. These guys were moving units and selling 50 Cent too. These people were moving records without the white man, without the so-called Jews, and they sold themselves to these so-called Jews and became puppets to these people. You see what I'm saying? And that's part of the problem. But anyway, let's listen real quick to when he was on the Breakfast Club. You guys probably already saw this interview, but let's go.
If an artist is talented, right, but you don't agree with their personal views, does that matter, or is it all about talent?
No, it's all about talent. I respect their personal views, but I can never be silent. I tell people when they ask me exactly how I feel. Like, you can't be a rapper and have a cup in front of me. I tell you, that's liquid heroin. You're junkie. You're junkie.
Would it concern you enough to not work with someone? Say they were in the middle of negotiations.
So now behind the scenes, he'll see a rapper with a cup full of lean, and he'll call him a junkie, according to him. Did this ever happen? We don't know, according to him, right? So now she asks a question. Okay, if you know somebody's a junkie, are you going to put them out there and put your money and your company behind that to peddle that to the children? Listen to what he says.
With you.
Yes,
that
go
make you
ahead.
say, okay,
What-
I don't know
what-
that I can do this deal.
What?
If you felt like they had a drug problem.
No. Why sign an artist that would promote that? I already answered that question.
Why sign an artist that will promote that? Why would you do that? Because they're at war with us. That's why.
That would promote that. I already answered that question. You weren't paying attention. She asked me talent or issues, and I said talent.
I'm saying that's hypocritical, though. You're
saying
saying
it's
opioid problem's a
opportunistic.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I got people to feed.
Did y'all hear that? He said it's opportunistic. Yup, I got people to feed. It's more important for him to feed his family, even if you're going to peddle somebody like that to our children to destroy them. That's okay, as long as you feed your family.
And I said talent.
I'm saying that's hypocritical, though. You're saying
It's
opioid problem's a
opportunistic.
problem.
Yeah, I got people to feed. I got a business to run.
You got people to feed and a business to run. That's more important. This is how they make war with our children, or make open war on our children. They will peddle somebody like this under the guise of them being talented and peddle them to your children when there are equally, if not more talented artists underground that don't drink lean, right? That don't take pills, but you won't sign those.
But Priest, the
Move
question
on.
should be, where is the gangster Amalekite rapper? Because you know they in rap, right?
Of course.
You never see that. You never see Amalek sipping lean and being like wicked and off. They never show that. So he's full of ish, man.
Right. Now, let's take it back 10 years when you're the same guy, Charlemagne, when he was on Vlad and had a moment, and I mean a short moment, of being honest. Most of your music artists are puppets on a string. That's what they are. They're agents of chaos that have been unleashed in our community to destroy our youth. They're the proxies, and they're being controlled by guys like Lyre Cohen and others. Listen.
You know why there's not a lot of Jewish rappers?
He's answering Zahab's question. Where's the Jewish gangster rapper? He's going to answer your question right now.
You know why there's not a lot of Jewish rappers? Because there's Jewish owners and Jewish CEOs. They run these labels. They're the bosses. That's why.
They're the bosses. They decide what gets proliferated and what does not.
Uncomfortable. What did Kanye say? He said, "Happy Kwanzaa to all the artists and happy Hanukkah to all the label execs." It's the truth. They run the business. Period, from Hollywood to the music industry, everything. And I mean, it's a very powerful mafia, as they should be.
Very powerful mafia. That's what they are. That's how they're making war with our people. Let's move on. There was more, but we're just going to kind of speed through this a little bit because time is of the essence, right? This is from an article from ResearchGate. I'll send this to you later, Zab, if you want to post this on the camp website. It says the power of music is impact on the intellectual, social, and personal development of children and young people. In other words, translation, music affects the development of our children, believe it or not. So when they're putting this stuff out, they know that it's affecting the youth. This is how they make war with it. They make a conscious decision to put it out anyway. So we're on page number 4. I know it might be a little small if you're looking at this on the phone. I'm going to go ahead and read it real quick. Page number 4 of this article. The title says, "The Power of Music, Its Impact on the Intellectual, Social, and Personal Development of Children and Young People." Second paragraph. It says, "Extensive active engagement with music induces cortical reorganization, producing functional changes in how the brain processes information." The type of music that you ingest can affect the way that you process information in general in life. A lot of our children, a lot of our youth, they see themselves and they live their lives through the scope of music, what they see their favorite entertainers doing, the way that they dress, which is why a lot of these female rappers dress provocative. They push and promote a 304 lifestyle, right? All they care about is money. Nothing else matters. And a lot of our young women follow behind that. It influences the way that they think, the way they process information. And the same thing with the boys. They want to be the hustlers. They want to be the gangsters. They want to be the dope boys, the corner boys. That's what they want to be. And the music pushes that. It influences that. And they know that. That's how they're making war. Because remember what they said. Our youth is one of the major problems for Israel. So if you get the youth in this stupor of just foolishness, then they'll never really be hip to what's really going on around the world, and especially with them. Anyway, let's continue. If this occurs early in the development, the accelerations may be hardwired and produce permanent changes. Permanent changes. One more time. Permanent changes in the way information is processed. If you expose your children to a lot of this crap from an early age, a lot of the damage to your children without the knowledge of this Bible, so we're not talking about Israelites, a lot of the damage is for life. When you expose their minds to this stuff too early. And we've seen videos over the last couple of years where you'll have a teacher in school having girls in their class dancing to Sexy Red. Teachers, mothers having birthday parties for their children, having their children imitate Sexy Red. They don't realize what it is that they're doing. And this is purposely being done to destroy our people, especially the youth. That's the point. Let me see where I am. I'm going to stop it right there because time is of the essence, guys. Time is of the essence. My apologies. There weren't that many more slides anyway. Maybe like another 4. Stop it right there. Hopefully you brothers and sisters were edified by the lesson. If you guys were, put 1 in the chat. Slocky, put 1 in the chat. Yeah, you guys are right. Drill music is definitely killing our people. Definitely. It's terrible. If you guys were edified, put 1 in the chat and let me know.
Virginia got 4 slides. I say you should have just pushed through, man.
Yeah, but one of the slides, the video is really long. It probably would have been like another.
Selfish. That's why. Salakia.
I know. It's all good. Let me just y'all build me 1 second, guys.
Hey, Priest, while you're doing that, let me make a quick announcement, right? If brothers and sisters, if you're going to be in the New York area next week,
I was
right?
just about to do that, but go ahead. Yeah.
You was about to do
I wanted
that?
to show the flyer, yeah, but go ahead. That's what I'm looking for right now.
All right, while the priest looking for the flyer, if you're in the New York area, hit us up. Our brother Captain McGunn, he has a get together, right? Where you could come through, meet him. He's an Israelite artist, and just come vibe and chill with us, right? As Israel. It's free and it's only open to Israelites. Why? Because we Israel and we conduct ourselves in a certain manner. You don't have to worry about certain nigga shit. Oh, Salakia. I'm sorry. We don't have to worry about certain negative forces. So that's why we only open it to Israel. If you're in Brooklyn next week, we're gonna have a unity camp at the Barclays. Then after that, we're gonna have a get together. It's a nice loft. It's a nice experience. Free food, free drink, and all that. Come through. Priest gonna show the flyer. I just wanted to push that out there.
All right, guys. Let me do this one first and see. That's what it is. Okay. All right, guys. So that's what Zob was talking about. Saturday, February 22nd at 2 p.m. We're doing a unity camp at the it's like at the Barclays Center. That's where the New York, the Brooklyn Nets play, and those are the camps that have been invited. And most said they're coming. You're gonna have AOC, Rum Goodall, Lions of Israel, us, House of David, Sakari, the Servants. That's Chief Ephraim, Heirs to the Kingdom, and I think some other camps have committed to coming out as well. So if you're in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, come on through for that unity camp. Most I allow, and then after that, that same evening, let me share my next screen. That same evening, we're going to be at 1943 Pitkin Avenue in Brooklyn. Captain McGunn doing this is after the Sabbath, of course. Captain McGunn, his new album dropped, I believe it was February the 7th. So he's going to be there performing at this location. I'm going to be there from 8 o'clock on. So definitely come through, meet the brother, vibe with us. We're going to have a good time, fellowship together. All praise to the Most High for that. So I want to let you guys know that, all right? Lastly, for me, of course, I want to thank everybody that continues to donate to the camp and show us love. We appreciate the love that all you brothers and sisters have been donating to us. Please help us, continue to support us. Guys, you guys see the email at the bottom of the screen. If you guys are planning on attending Passover, you have to email us in RSVP, loigatherings@gmail.com, loigatherings@gmail.com, in order to come to Passover. Please don't just show up unaccounted for, because we're trying to make sure we have provisions for everyone. All right. And last but not least, specifically just to a small group of people listening, you guys that are in the academy, I'm going to make it real simple for you guys this week. There's been some miscommunication. I'm uploading tomorrow's lesson as soon as I'm done teaching right here. I'm uploading tomorrow's lesson today, right? I'm going to create all the links and everything today. So there should be no excuse for you guys that are doing the academy not to be on time tomorrow at 3 o'clock. No excuse, because all the resources are going to be put in today. We're going to pick up where we left off last week about why the Hebrew language is essential. We're going to talk about that and some other things, all right? Probably give you guys a quick history lesson as well. So be on time for the academy tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The links will be sent out by Sister Shemaiah. There should be no excuse, because I'm dropping everything in there today, Most High allow, all right? So with that being said, it's your brother Priest Daniela, representing Lions of Israel. Elder Zahab, we're here every week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for our Sabbath class. Make sure you guys subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel already, you need to repent and believe the gospel. Finally, since Captain McGunn is doing that release for his album on February 22nd, that get together, he just dropped his latest single called Let's Make a Toast. So we're going to go out with that, and I'll see you guys again here next week, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that, I say shalom.
Toast, 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 toast. Yo. Let's make a toast to completing the goals we set to do or be stuck in the hole. It's a marathon, not a race. Stick with the pace and stay in your place. It's champagne for the celebration. I'm full of light like it's dedication. Yahweh's laws is my meditation and my legislation. I do this for fun and not for the funds. They call me a shield and Hebrew a gun. Protecting my energy, pray for my enemies, blessing the fam. Send me the Addy, I'm there. Hustling hard, collecting my shares. If it ain't truth, you know I don't care. Evil is something I feel in the air. To whom it may concern. Yato dollars, not wisdom. Nah, I ain't respecting it. Trying to play the Most High. like you won't get checked in your residence. Corny Instagram clowns swearing like we ain't out here getting it. These dudes ain't getting the money I'm getting, so when they talk cash it's irrelevant. I'm riding clean in the Range Rover. You played yourself, now it's game over. The red dot in between the shoulder to the booster shot. I ain't talking COVID. When the cards is dealt, you gotta deal with it. Shout out to the ones that's real with it. When it's time for war, they in the field with it. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers. Put your cups in the air. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers. Put your cups in the air. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers. Put your cups in the air. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers. Put your cups in the air. You get what you give, so put in the work. Afterwards, you enjoyed all the perks. Actions always speak louder than words. You talking too much, you just wanna be heard. If you're doing good, keep your prayers up. If you're doing bad, keep your prayers up. During hard times, you gotta know it's tough, but you gotta get up. Fool me once, that's shame on you. Fool me twice, that's shame on me. Discernment is key, my wrist is on freeze. Feeling like it's below 0 degrees. The more that I see, the more that I learn. You're not in your grind, and bridges were burned. Recognize when it's your time. Everybody get a turn. Do your thing when it's showtime. I rip hard when it's go time. I'm praising Yahweh to kingdom come, and the Mashiach Yahweh Shai is son. As soon as he come, the wicked is done. Don't matter the place or set that you from. Don't matter the place or set that you from. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers. Put your cups in the air. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers. Put your cups in the air. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers. Put your cups in the air. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers. Put your cups in the air. Put your cups in the air. Put your cups in the air.